Alright, so in my presentation, I'll be talking about the evolution of art in ancient Rome. First, I want to start off with about saying my main point is the evolution of art in ancient Rome played a significant role in not only the shaping of Rome, but the traditions to follow within Western art. So first, I want to go over first influences on Roman art, how the evolution of art is important, features of Roman art, and how art advanced Rome. But first off, let's start off with an interesting fact. Did you know that the braiding of fruits and other objects show prosperity, beauty, and even rebirth? This is really important to me to first start off with, for one of the main reasons being that Roman art had so many background stories. Different people thought different things. They thought it meant different things. There were so many ideas behind one piece of artwork, and I think that's really important to understand because that just shows how important Roman art is to everyone, because everyone has a story to it. Everyone thinks that there's a different background to it, and they believe in different things, and it's just overall really important. So first, let's start off with the first influences on Roman art. So first, Roman art got their ideas from Greek through invasions. As we know, Rome invaded Greek in 146 BC, and they kind of were like, oh my gosh, they were stunned by how amazing Greek's artwork was, and they wanted something of it of their own. So then, this leads into they copied some of the artwork and put their own twist on it. That kind of means that they kind of were like, I love this, and I want to get the ideas from it, but I also want it to be my own. So they incorporated things like realism, which I'll get to later. And then this leads us into the idea that they used the materials Greeks used to make and copy from their own work. So Greek have used materials before Rome did, and Rome were like, oh my gosh, we want to use these materials. Those materials were like marble, which I'll get into more later, and things like techniques. So, as I said before, the Roman invaded Greek in the 3rd century BCE, and then it ended in 146 BCE. So, let's go into the characteristics of Roman art. I think it's really important to understand what Roman art was, and to really just understand what it was. So first is realism. Realism was really a big idea because if you looked at a painting, you thought it was alive. You thought it would reach out and touch you, or vice versa. And that also led into the depth characteristic. Depth was like you thought it was 3D. You thought that you could go up and grab it and it would be 3D sitting in your hand, but it was just flat. And that was a really big idea because it showed just how amazing and fantastic this art was and how much detail and just overall love was poured into these pieces of artwork to really just portray this beautiful object, an art piece. And then another big characteristic is architecture. If you go to Rome, and I was lucky enough to go to Rome, you can just see how much detail is in the architecture and how much art and how much love is in it, and it just shows how much they care for these types of artwork pieces. So next, that leads me into how art has a million backgrounds, and as I said before, I think it's really important to understand that if you look at one circle, to 100 different people, it can mean a different thing. And I think that's really important to understand because it just shows how important artwork in Rome was important to everybody because it had a story for everybody. So then I want to give you a little bit of a Roman timeline that I go over in my paper. So first, Roman invaded Greek in 146 BC, and then invasions were over in 146 BC. And then the Hellenistic period was a period of time when Romans really started to adapt the Greek culture of art, and they really started to incorporate it into their culture. And then 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius was the mountain that erupted over Pompeii, and this left a really important, I don't know if you would say it, art piece or, just object, but it was of this person, unknown boy or girl. It was this person kind of covering their head, and it's displayed in Pompeii, and I was looking up to see it, and it just shows how much terror or how scared people were, but it shows the culture that was left behind. And if you even visit Pompeii, there's still artwork up to this day, and that just really paints a great picture about how art can last for so long and it still has so much meaning even thousands of years later. So then that leads us into how the evolution of art is important. Everything starts somewhere. So it's really important to understand that everything comes from square one, and Roman art really started from square one. But the Roman art was lucky enough, it developed political culture, architecture influence, and shaped Western art and Western civilization. So going back to political culture, there was something called political propaganda, where people used art to kind of display who they were. They really showed what type of person they were. And then architecture influence. Architecture was really, like I said before, it was really important to Rome, and there was a lot of like amazing details, amazing architects that were in Rome. And then it shaped Western art and Western civilization. It expanded Western civilization in ways of art, sciences, political, health. In so many areas, art really just expanded Western civilization and made it what it was and what it is today. And then lastly, how art advanced Rome. As I said before, political propaganda, culture, culture. The Roman culture is crazy. There's so much culture behind art pieces, art objects. Millions of people go to Rome to visit this art. So as you can tell, it holds a lot of importance to many people, especially myself. And then number 3 is science and health. We see with Leonardo da Vinci that he created not artwork but like sketches of health relating to like pieces of the arm or leg, and it just showed the muscle structure, the bone structure, and it really helped paint a picture of what art can show and how much art can help those around us. So yeah, thank you for listening.